Further reading of the journal is dispensed with, and the journal is approved. Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Subject to announcements, I move the Senate stand in recess until 1:45 p.m.
Are there announcements? Senator from Brooke.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your members of the Republican caucus will be caucusing at 10:15 a.m. in room 330 West. That's 10:15 a.m. in room 330 West. Thank you.
For further announcements, Senator from Greenbrier.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Democratic caucus will caucus in the minority office also at 10:15 this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Are there further announcements? If not, the question before the Senate is that the Senate stand in recess until 1:45. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. I declare the Senate in recess.
Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday, July the 26th. We do have 8 additional deaths since the last time we were together, and I ask again, as I've done every time, for your prayers, for your calls for these people, and if you know them, just let them know you care, and they're not alone. The 7,122nd death is an 82-year-old male from Marion County. The 7,123rd death, a 92-year-old female from Berkeley County. The 7,124th death is an 85-year-old female from Raleigh County. The 7,125th death, a 93-year-old male from Marshall County. The 7,126th death, a 39. Good gracious. Oh, I didn't see that. The 7,126th death, a 39-year-old male from Jackson County. The 7,127th death, a 71-year-old male from Mercer County. The 7,128th death, a 69-year-old female from Roane County. And the 7,129th death is an 83-year-old male from Kanawha County. Okay, we have 3,071 active cases. We have 912 new positive cases. Evidently, we didn't test much, but our daily positivity rate's at 30.81, the cumulative rate at 8.29. We have 541,721 people that have recovered from this dreaded killer. We have 320 people now hospitalized in West Virginia. It continues to climb. We have 44 in the ICU units and 12 on ventilators. We have some green counties, surely mostly yellow, and we have 2 in the gold, and that is Mercer and Webster counties. We have our second case of monkeypox in West Virginia, and I'm sure that Dr. Amjad can update us more about that than I surely could. I encourage you over and over, I've said it a million times about your booster shots. They are so important. They are so important. This absolute pandemic is not going away. It is going to be here a while. The likelihood of you being infected is extremely high, especially if you've not been vaccinated. But the problem is, even if you have been vaccinated, you could very well get this. What's going to happen in all likelihood then? If you've been vaccinated and you get it, you're probably going to be able to deal with it like you would deal with a cold. If you've not been vaccinated and you get it, you could be in the run for your life. And so I really encourage the boosters, and I continue to encourage people to get their first vaccinations. From the standpoint of our vaccine calculator, it's up. It's on our website. You can go to it. We thank again the great people at WVU, Dr. Marsh, General Hoyer, and all the people that contributed to make this become a reality. It'll remind you when to get your shots. All the other information on our COVID-19 vaccine info line is up on our website. We have 88 outbreaks in our long-term care facilities, none in our church community. We have 123 inmates and 52 staff cases now. I remind you over and over about this rental assistance program and the homeowner assistance program. Well, why do I do that? Ask yourself really simply, why am I doing that? Because it is of incredible benefit to you if you'll just take the time to give us a call. Give us a call, and really and truly, we may very well be able to get you qualified. We'll follow all the guidelines and we'll follow them perfectly. But if we can get you qualified, it will absolutely bring some assistance to folks that are really hurting. If you're a renter, a landlord, or a homeowner, give us a call. If you have any difficulties with bank payments, utility payments, whatever, give us a call and see if we can get you qualified. I remind you about giving blood over and over and over. I tell people that the Red Cross is standing. The Red Cross needs you, and please consider. Absolutely consult your physicians first, but please consider. We have the resignation of a wonderful, wonderful lady, Betsy Jividen. Betsy, I had the opportunity, she is resigning, or she is, And her letter of resignation is she is resigning from her position of the Commissioner of our Division of Corrections and Rehabilitation. I appointed Betsy in January of 2018, and time really goes. I mean, I just, it's hard to believe. You know, Betsy's been here 4 years. She's done great, great work. You know, we're going to wish her the best. We're going to accept her resignation effective August the 5th. We'll work diligently to fill that vacancy. It's a big position, and she has done a wonderful job and everything. And we just wish her the best, you know, as she moves on, and we thank her for all the great work that she did. She did an incredible work, especially, you know, on things that like, you know, helping our inmates recover from drug addiction. She lessened, or she worked hard to reduce repeat offenders and to provide medical care for those inmates, and on and on and on. So a lot of great work, Betsy, and we'll miss you. Thank you. You know, another thing we want to go to is just an announcement about tourism. You know, the waterfall trail, you know, that was set up. This is another incredible success story coming out of tourism. And you know, they've done amazing, amazing stuff. But all this does is draw more and more and more folks to West Virginia. Think about it. Think about it. We have all these unbelievable, you know, waterfalls all across our state that touch your heart and absolutely have beauty just beyond all comparison. Now, so we announced this trail, you know, and, you know, of where they are, and, you know, for people to come and walk the different areas and see these incredible waterfalls all across our state. We announced it 6 weeks ago. How many folks would you think in 6 weeks have checked in to walk and look at the waterfalls across West Virginia? You know, really and truly, if you were fair, you'd say, well, gosh, in 6 weeks, brand new and everything else that's going on, you know, if we had 500 or whatever like that, that'd be really good. 10,000 are coming to West Virginia, or within West Virginia, and they're checking in to go look at all the incredible beauty of our waterfalls across our state. More and more and more good work, you know, from Chelsea Ruby or Secretary Ruby and all the great folks at Tourism, as well as our DNR. And I want to just say this. I want to read one thing to you. Our waterfall trail has been nationally recognized by travel publications such as Travel and Leisure, USA Today, Southern Living, and Travel Awaits. I mean, it's just good stuff. That's all there is to it. You know, here's something that's not so good, and it's been just dragging along and everything. We've got a fellow that's going to talk to us a little bit about this. You know, his name is Josh Pence. He's with our, you know, he is our Chief Technology Officer, and he's joining us today. But this is in regard to the Division of Motor Vehicles and the mainframe outage that we've had there. And surely the good Lord above, we're going to get this fixed and get it fixed real soon. But Josh, if you could come on and talk to us about that.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to give you an update about the situation with the mainframe. So absolutely recognize this is a significantly impactful event to the citizens as it impacts citizen services. So with that, we are working very diligently to resolve it as quickly as possible. The background on the situation is that we had a hardware failure with a component of our mainframe. To date, that repair on the hardware side is complete, and we have moved into a software repair phase, and we are still tracking to have that resolved at earliest on Thursday. We are working to restore that as quickly as possible, but while we are also working to restore the mainframe, we are working with the impacted agencies, such as the Department of Transportation and the DMV, to implement workarounds so that they can resume normal citizen services. And we've had progress in that, with the DMV being able to provide driver license side services again, starting very, very soon. So to date, we have repaired the physical piece. We are working on the software piece, and still track the existing time, the current timeline by this Thursday. Recognizing the severity, we also have brought in multiple partners to help us along this path, so we are not going it alone. We have our partner with Park Place Technologies, Insono, and IBM, and partners from each of those companies have been involved with us in this restoration, and we cannot thank them enough for their support during this time.
Okay, thanks, Josh. Thank you, sir. Now we know, especially it's summertime, and we know across the state of West Virginia that we have severe mountains. And we know in the summer we can absolutely experience, and we can experience this in the fall as well and everything, most generally not in the winter. But we can experience big time thunderstorms. And those thunderstorms can dump a lot of water very quickly. I am declaring another state of preparedness. Right now, I think in the town of Gilbert, there's really major problems down there. We're expecting the possibility of 3 to 5 inches of rain. Well, it doesn't sound all that harmful, but 3 to 5 inches of rain coming down off our mountains and coming down really fast and everything can cause real problems. So I ask everybody just to be careful and everything. It's summertime in West Virginia. We enjoy all the beauty beyond all comparison, but our beauty really, can be a little bit of a handicap at times. We just got to be careful and enjoy the beauty all the time. The only other thing I've got is I want to make sure that this audience here, and I really know that I really don't even need to bring this up, but I added all the issues of life and abortion to the call of the special session. There's been media that have said to me, did you do that really and truly so you could absolutely make more progress on your tax cut? And I would say to you that you can't possibly insult me anymore. If anyone thinks such a thing, it's just terrible. The one thing I have done with you all the time is tell you the truth and build your trust. And if you think in any way that I would add something that is as sensitive as our life and our abortion bill that has been around, we have been 50 years in making this change. And the importance of that is off the chart tenfold. There's no question the tax cut is important, but really and truly, it does not hold a teacup to what we're going to do in this state in regard to the elimination of abortion and what our Supreme Court of the United States did. Now, I would tell you just this. Here's exactly what's happened is, Roger Hanshaw, the Speaker of the House, and has done marvelous work. And he has told me over and over, Governor, just give us time for us to be ready. And with that, our Senate President, President Blair, I felt like I had not heard a lot of input from him, but Roger came to me like 2 days before the session. I'm talking about probably last Friday. And Roger said, we're ready. And we had a discussion at that point in time. We wanted to be so respectful to the Senate, we wanted to give them proper time. And so we thought we'd maybe pick a date, maybe in mid or late August. We want to get it done because of all the controversy and confusion that's out there. Really and truly, our Attorney General is advising all of us, and Patrick is doing great work there as well. But our laws that are on the books are old. They're ancient. They've been on the books since the 1800s. And really and truly, they need clarification and they need modernization. So we need to address this when we're ready. So the House said they were ready on Friday. So in some meetings that happened, I guess, on Sunday, At that point in time, or maybe it was early Monday morning, I think it was Sunday. And on Sunday in meetings, the Senate conveyed to the House that they were ready to. And so I've told you that I would call a special session as soon as they told me they were ready, because those bodies need to craft this and put this together and bring it to me. As soon as both parties said they were ready, the Senate President and the Speaker of the House, and I met, and absolutely at that point in time, we moved forward with putting this on the call. It had nothing, and you're insulting me in every way if anyone were to think it had anything to do with tax cuts. At the end of the day, I firmly believe, and I'll stand by this, that without any doubt, if we're looking forward in West Virginia, if we can absolutely get on a pathway to start lowering our personal income tax with the day will come where we will eliminate our personal income tax without any question, no questions asked, without any question, it is the very thing that will bring real growth to West Virginia. On the other hand, if we come up with these ideas on how to cut this because we have surpluses, and thank goodness we do have the surpluses. From the day that I walked in the door, things started to change. We've had a lot of folks that have pulled the rope together, but mainly all the great West Virginians have absolutely pulled the rope, and we pulled the rope through this pandemic and all the mess about that. We've lost absolutely 7,129 folks in West Virginia now. It's tragic. It's absolutely tragic. But by all of us pulling the rope, from the day that I walked in the door to where our state was upside down and bankrupt every way you could possibly be, to today, surpluses beyond belief. But I caution you, West Virginia, you can layer in things that benefit big companies and literally don't necessarily benefit us in hopes that more business is going to come. You can take away the control from counties having the ability to have a guaranteed, revenue source, to where you're putting the control into Charleston. Now, I firmly believe in local control. And when you remove it and you move it to Charleston, all I would say to you is just this. I have really took care of the store. But if you do that and you really move it to Charleston, you're taking a heck of a risk. That's all there is to it. And if we would have a blip on the screen and things would turn a little bit bad, to you counties, to all of y'all, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Then you're waiting on Charleston, Big Daddy Charleston, to fund you. And what if they just can't? And then they turn back to you and you have to start cutting things. The people of your counties will suffer. Now, if things stay all that great all the time, it'll be okay. But this is layering in, other plans other than mine are layering in big time obligations to the state and to the people of this state. With all that being said, let's dial in first and foremost, knock it out of the park and make sure that we get it right on the abortion issues and on life issues. The second thing I would say is I especially thank, Chairman Householder and Speaker Hanshaw, from the standpoint of their wisdom and everything of what we should do on how we should mind the store and look after the state of West Virginia. So nevertheless, that's all I've got right now.
All right, thank you, Governor. Let's now go to Dr. Clay Marsh, our coronavirus czar.
Well, good morning. And in support of what the governor has already told us, there is a wealth of information that continues to come through the medical sort of literature and from real world experience that that continues to support the very incredible strength of the vaccines that we have today in protecting people from hospitalizations and death, even with the Omicron variant, the BA.5 variant that now is the dominant variant in the country, over 80% of the cases in the country, and also growing very rapidly in West Virginia. It's interesting that we talked last week about the Walgreens index data for the percent of positive tests that they do across the country. These are PCR tests. And this week, their PCR test rate positivity is 37%. And West Virginia and New Hampshire are the two states with the largest change from last week to this week. And West Virginia, the percent positive rate reported in West Virginia through Walgreens is 36%. So we know that BA.5 continues to grow in West Virginia, and that puts us at some additional risk of people who have either not been vaccinated up to date or people that have had their vaccines a while ago. So we very much think that now is an important time for people to look at their vaccine status, look at the vaccine calculator, as the governor mentioned, and make sure you're up to date. There's also a very interesting and important article, I think, that has come from the United Kingdom, where they've looked back at their previous history from COVID with long COVID symptoms. And they've made a couple of observations in a very, very large study where they studied almost 500,000 medical records of people that had been infected with COVID and compared that to about 8 million records, medical records of people who never had COVID. And what they found was that the risk was higher in women than in men, that the most common symptoms were loss of smell. Now, this was back in the earlier phase of COVID that some of these cases were seen. But the other thing that's interesting is they identified a risk for younger people, 18 to 30-year-olds, who were also at a bit higher risk in their study than they would have anticipated. And this really also re-emphasizes the potential benefit of getting vaccinated on reducing your risk of long COVID. And as we look at the uptake rates, we still know that we have opportunity to go. Our over 50% rate in the US is around 30% for people 50 years old and over for having 4 total vaccines, 2 booster doses, and is hovering around 50% for those 50 years old and over who have gotten the first booster dose. So it is really important for those that are eligible. Please consider staying up to date with your vaccines, particularly with the BA.5 variant coming through. We had over 500 people that died in the US yesterday from COVID. And remember that the third leading cause of death in 2020 and 2021 were COVID in all age groups. And for the 50 to 65-year-old age group, COVID was the leading cause of death. So I'm sorry, in the 45 to 60-year-old age group, COVID was the leading cause of death. So it's really important to stay up to date. And we hope that more and more people will take advantage of the opportunity to receive a booster shot, and that booster shot age requirement will go down to afford more people the opportunity to get that 4th shot to stay the maximal protection against the impact, the death, and hospitalization of COVID-19. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Marsh. Next to retired Major General Jim Hoyer, the director of our Joint Interagency Task Force.
You're muted, Jim.
Sorry, folks. Good afternoon. Would like to reinforce what the governor and Dr. Marsh have laid out, the significance of vaccines and staying current on the number of doses. We continue to see our hospital numbers increase. The number that we pay attention to right now is the total number of daily admissions, and It has consistently for the last several days been bouncing between 40 and 50 individuals. Again, the number that we are paying attention to related to totals across the state is 500 because of staffing issues and other demands on our hospitals. That number has changed since the Delta and Omicron surges, where we were looking at 800. So we'll continue to stay focused on that. We have a ready availability of vaccines. Also in today's update, we were informed that we have plenty of availability of Paxlovid across the state, as well as the one effective batoclimab, that is the antibody treatment, is available across the state of West Virginia as well. So we'll continue to watch that. And one of the other things in discussions that we've had with folks at the national level, there seems to be an anticipation that it will be sometime around October, November, when the new version of the updated vaccine dose will come out. So we'll be preparing and watching for that as well. Again, cannot reinforce enough from personal experience and a number of people that we've worked with over the last couple of weeks who are over the age of 50, who have had their 4 shots, who have contracted COVID and are doing quite well in dealing with it, particularly when Paxlovid is added to that effort. So really important, as the governor points out, to continue to get those vaccines. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Next to Dr. Ainamjad, our State Health Officer.
Good afternoon. The governor did mention about the second case of monkeypox in West Virginia. Yesterday, the Kanawha Charleston Health Department did test an individual with probable monkeypox. Out of respect for the patient's privacy, no other information will be given at this time. The Bureau for Public Health and the Health Department are working to identify more individuals who might be at risk. I just want to remind everyone that the threat to West Virginians from monkeypox is low. There is a vaccine that's available, however, it's in short supply at this time. Those vaccines are available for anyone who's a close contact of a positive monkeypox case. If you have any concerns of fever, rash, you should contact your healthcare provider, and then they can send those test results, if needed, to the local state lab. But just want to remind everyone, if they need more information as well, it's on our DHHR epidemiology website, and there are information on there about how to collect specimens, where to send it, and about the vaccine information. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Amjad. We'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first today from Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. Governor, I wanted to know what steps will you take? What will be your next move if the Senate does not pass your tax plan? It looks like it's going to pass in the House, but there's some questions about what will happen in the Senate. What will your strategy be if an acceptable tax plan to you doesn't pass? Thank you, sir.
Well, Charles, I guess the easiest way I can explain that is, I know without doubt that, and I guess this is the easiest way for me to say it, but from time to time I'm in an airplane and I'm flying across West Virginia and I can see a long, long, long ways. And especially if it's at night, and every single little light that you can see, those people are dependent on me. And that's how I see it. And really and truly, that's how I've seen it from day one. I don't want anything. I know unequivocally that if we can get on a pathway, and Chairman Householder, and I think, Speaker Hanshaw absolutely believe this wholeheartedly, but if we can get on a pathway to getting rid of our personal income tax, it'll bring more and more and more growth to West Virginia, and it will be growth off the chart. Look where we're located. To get to a state that has no income tax, you got to drive through us. We're located within a rock's throw of 2/3 of the people of this country. And who am I trying to help? I'm trying to help the average, everyday working person. Now, what's happening in the Senate is not right. And I'm trying to be as respectful as I know how to be. I want to work with those folks in every way, and we have. I've tried to sign, for all practical purposes, every bill, everything in the world I have tried to do to work hand in hand, and we're trying to do exactly that right now. Now, where do I stand from the standpoint of getting rid of the automobile and the truck tax? I would love to get rid of it, and absolutely am a proponent of that. But more importantly than that, we need to set ourselves on a pathway to get rid of the personal income tax. We can today, we can move and absolutely, almost instantaneously start putting money back in the pockets of the people. Now, beyond realistically, beyond maybe the automobile tax, the Senate would like, and the Senate is very married to a plan that is going to cause a tremendous, what we would call base build to the budget. And that base build to the budget is a tremendously risky thing. It takes control away from the counties. It puts all the control back into Charleston. Well, now just think about it. Is that what we really want? I'm the person that stands strongly for local control because I believe the people will make the right decisions, not Charleston, the people. Now, like it or not like it, Charles, but when I walked in the door, things were pretty dadgum tough. I told us right off the get-go that we needed to tier our severance tax, and we didn't do it. And that's the greatest and the biggest miss of all time in the state of West Virginia. I hope to goodness that somebody will truly analyze the magnitude of that miss, because that miss will hurt us and haunt us in West Virginia for a long, long, long time to come. You see, the one thing we don't ever want to do in West Virginia is just this, is a lot of times people have come and taken advantage, and at the end of the day, they've left when things turn not so good. Whether it be our timber industry 100+ years ago, or really the opportunities that we have today with natural gas and coal and oil. So with all of that, we have a real live responsibility, responsibility. You see, Charles, my family would benefit unbelievably from an inventory and property tax elimination. Absolutely, the Senate's plan would benefit my family and my companies that my family has off the chart. The same thing over the fact that if we don't tier the severance tax on coal and oil and gas, which we didn't do, and there's no chance that we can do now. My family would have it would have cost my family to have tiered the severance tax on coal and oil and gas. It would have cost my family, but I stood up. I stood up and said, that's what we need to do. So at the end of the day, Charles, all I can do is one thing. You said, what am I going to do? Well, I have offered any level of compromise, I'm for it. But first and foremost, Charles, we need to get on a pathway of getting rid of our personal income tax. If we don't do that, it will be another miss like you can't imagine. Like you can't imagine. If we truly believe that what we're going to do is lower our tax on manufacturing, who's going to win in that, Charles? Who's going to really win? Well, it's big companies. And a lot of times, big companies from out of state. You know, at the end of the day, I want our people to win. I want our people that work hard here every day to win. I want them to drive the economies. I have not had one person and there's all kinds of people that are coming to my office all the time to bring their businesses to West Virginia. I have not had one company, period, not one, say we'd come if you didn't have a tax on inventory machinery. Not one. Absolutely, it's a big risk. It's a big chance. And when you layer in $500 to $800 million of base to our budget today, and things would happen to just turn not so good, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go right back to when I walked in this door. When I walked in this door, the only thing we could do was cut. We'd done it for 2 or 3 years, cut and cut and cut. Now, if that's what you want, I can take the horse to water, but I can't make you drink. I'm doing my job. And really and truly, I'm not going to lose any sleep over the fact of what I've done. If that's what we want, is high risk and the possibility of really cutting and taking the control away from our counties and absolutely not getting us on a pathway that without any question, look at Tennessee, look at Florida, look at Texas. And people may say, well, Florida's got this incredible coastline, 1,200 miles, and Texas has got all this stuff. And I say, bull feathers. Look what West Virginia's got. I mean, we're the best. We're the best. We've been the best, and we're becoming to be known the best today. Bull feathers. For crying out loud, all that population's got to drive through us to get to Tennessee and Florida and Texas. If we had no personal income tax in the state of West Virginia, we'd have growth beyond belief. All the rest is a high-risk gamble. There's no question. With all the publications, all the tax publications all across the land, there is no question. The personal income tax is the way to go, the elimination of it. Now, with all that being said, if we don't do it, Charles, shame on us. But you can't turn back and blame me on this one. This is all there is to it. I want us to take a small baby step and go at this. If we can't go at it in an aggressive way, let's go baby steps. You know, Charles, I'm right. I'm right about this. I've told everybody the truth. I've built an incredible trust with the people of West Virginia, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. Absolutely, whether it be Toby and Edith or Tommy and Barbara out there, they depend on me. All those lights. And I take it to heart. This is all I do, Charles. This is all I do. I work night and day, not been on a day's vacation period. Since I've been in office, don't look to go on vacation. I work 7 days a week, and I love absolutely trying to do great stuff for West Virginia. And I love the fact of where we are today. And we can only get better unless we absolutely stub our own toe because of ego or because of looking to the next political office. We're supposed to be here to serve. And that's exactly what I've done. I don't want anything. I don't want one thing. I never have. I'm real passionate about this and everything, but at the end of the day, if we don't do it, shame on us, not shame on me. Thank you, Charles.
All right, thanks, Charles. Next to Evan Bevins with Ogden Newspapers.
Thank you. Governor, you mentioned earlier about speaking with the House and Senate leadership and deciding to add the abortion issue to the special session call. Do you have any concern about the timing of that, being announced as the session was starting, or that having this and the tax issue on at the same time could lead to one getting undercut or overshadowed? Thank you.
Evan, and it is Evan, is that correct? Jordan?
Yes, it is. It's Evan.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm terrible on names. Please forgive me, Evan. But here's exactly what I've said. I don't know how to do anything in this world other than tell you the truth. I don't know how to do anything with that. I told you I make a lot of mistakes, but I'm going to tell you the truth. Evan, I have told the House repeatedly and told the Senate through our people that really and truly, at the end of the day, I'm not going to call the special session until you tell me you're ready, but it can't drag on forever. I have said exactly that in the briefings, but I'm not going to call a special session in regard to life and abortion. I am not going to do that because that item is so important it's off the chart. But we need to do it sooner than later because we need modernization to our law. And what we have on the books is ancient. We need to do it, you know. Now, with all that being said, you know, all these folks, you know, whether they be delegates or they be senators, they're not paid a lot of money, and they come down here and everything, and they work, and they do the work and everything, but at the same time, just running them back and forth down here and everything, you know, I don't think that's the thing to do. If we can avoid doing it. That's why I did the tax thing in their July interims. Now, on Friday, Speaker Hanshaw came to me and said, we're ready. And Governor, if you want to add it to the call, we're ready, but let's really consult with the Senate and see where they stand. Well, I said, Roger, I'm all in, but probably, since we haven't really heard directly from the Senate in a few days, probably really and truly what we should do is pick a date in mid or late August and try to move the abortion and life issues to that date. Roger said, great. Then something happened, I guess on either Sunday night, probably on Sunday night at some point in time, and Roger contacted me and he said that they had had discussions with the Senate and the Senate said, we're ready to go. Well, I mean, what in the world do you expect me to do? Again, I absolutely believe that we've got to address this issue, do we not? And with that being said, I said I'm going to wait until the House is ready and the Senate's ready. The House says they're ready on Friday. The Senate said they're ready, I think, on sometime on Sunday evening. And so they're here. Why not do it now? From the standpoint of anybody on the planet having a thought that I'm trying to commingle the two to get something, you're out of your mind. You're totally out of your mind. Anybody that would have such a thought as that. No chance on this planet. But with all that said, you know, I can say it really profound, and here's exactly what I would say. First and foremost in my life, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian through and through. And I would tell you, if any word that I'm telling you, any single word that I'm telling you is wrong, I want God to send me to hell right now. Because it's not wrong. I am absolutely telling you the truth as best a human being could possibly tell you. So with all that being said and everything, I do think while they're here, it makes more sense to address the issue that is so important it's off the chart, and that is life and abortion. But it is also important with West Virginians out there hurting, you know, whether it be $5 gasoline or runaway inflation and everything, to do something to put the money back in the pockets of the very people that sent it down here. And that's absolutely our taxpayers. From that standpoint, the very thing that we ought to do, other than some smoke and mirrors something, that's a one-time thing or whatever it may be, that absolutely will not drive growth and population here, we should absolutely do it with the personal income tax. Now, I believe that with all in me. Heaven, at the end of the day, if the powers to be that are down here don't want to do that and they want to do something else, let them. Let them. I've done everything I know to do. I have absolutely built the trust of people by telling them the truth. And absolutely with all in me, we have taken care and looked after the store. We have done many, many things in West Virginia to take us from bankruptcy to surpluses beyond belief. It's hard to argue It's hard to argue with a guy that's rolled in and pitched a bad gum good game over and over and over. I make mistakes, but I'm telling you the truth right now, and this is exactly what we ought to be doing. And we ought to be doing this right this minute. If we don't do that because of ego, or we do that because of political ambitions or whatever they may be, obligations to lobbyists that are out here passing out money right and left and doing their job, you see, they don't do that to me. They don't do, because I don't take their money. I don't take their perks. I don't do that. At the end of the day, I'm here for the people. I'm not here for the big giant companies that are from out of this state. I'm here for people. And I'm here to draw opportunity for our people. And that's what I'm going to do.
All right, thank you, Evan. Next to Ben Schwartz with WVVA.
Hi, Governor. Thank you for taking the time for these questions. I'm wondering regarding the abortion legislation going through the House, are you confident that legislators will, with the exceptions for things like ectopic pregnancies and fetus viability that are in there right now, are you confident that the final version will include those and ensure that doctors are able to properly perform those operations while not being in fear of going to prison?
Ben, am I confident? Absolutely, I'm confident. You know, I would add with it prayerful and hopeful that we absolutely are able. And I ask for all the people's prayers for our senators and delegates. It's tough stuff, tough stuff. There's a million different ways to go, and it's tough. And I just pray that they'll have the wisdom to come up with the right combinations and everything and send me the bill that I will welcome signing. We absolutely need to clean up the modernization part, and we absolutely need to clean up the ancientness of the laws that are on the books. But absolutely, I do have confidence. I do have confidence that we'll get through this, and our folks are smart and good and loyal, and absolutely they'll come up with the right answers. From the standpoint, we don't need in any way to think of anything other than doing what's right for the unborn, doing what's right for our families, doing the absolute most we possibly can to support our mothers-to-be. So many different things that are out there that we absolutely need to address and take care of. It's tough stuff. And absolutely, we need our prayers for all of our delegates and all of our senators, and me too, that really, are working through this and trying to make the right decisions and get through this and do it, at a time that all these folks are already here. I really believe, I'm very hopeful that they'll come up with the right stuff.
All right, thank you, Ben. Governor, I'll turn it back to you.
Well, the only thing I've got that I wrote down, and we go in a lot of different directions sometimes on these briefings, but let's go back to Dr. Marsh just 1 second. West Virginians, listen to me again. Walgreens in West Virginia, according to Dr. Marsh, unless I got it wrong, Walgreens in West Virginia, as all across this nation, report the percentage of, I guess, positivity or positive readings that they get, or the COVID responses that they get, and Walgreens in West Virginia, all across this nation, compared to all the Walgreens all across this nation, our infectious rate is the second highest in the nation right now. And I think that I got that right. I think, I just was listening to Dr. Marsh, and so if I'm in error, well, I'm just in error. But I've got it close enough, and I think that what I've said is exactly right. Now, with all that being said, take heed, West Virginia. That's our coronavirus czar, a good man that's smart as smart could ever be. And with all that, take heed. If West Virginia is second in leading the way in every state across this country with absolutely an infectious rate level, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, but an infectious rate level that we are second in the nation on, and you don't have your booster shots, and you haven't been vaccinated, think about it. Think about it. Be respectful, West Virginia, to everybody's wishes and everybody's thoughts. Our freedoms are what made us who we are and what will absolutely endure forever in this nation, I hope and pray. So with all that being said, though, please, please do consider vaccination and get your booster shot, whatever you do. Thank you so much. That's all I've got. Thank you.